What's going on, fellas? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy, codename Agent Danger. Oh man, you guys are cracking me up with these code names, but check it out, boys. Seeing as though we got a uniform blowout sale today where all the uniforms in the game are being sold at a discounted price, and I haven't done one of these videos in about 3 months, I wanted to take the opportunity to give you guys an updated uniform guide for 2019 because as of right now, we have about 179 different uniforms in the game, and honestly, about 120 of those uniforms are pure garbage, and from the ones that are currently meta, about 6 or 7 of those uniforms are going to be replaced by the end of April when we get endgame. So I wanted to give you guys an updated uniform guide for 2019. So let's jump right into it, and we'll start off with the uniforms that I don't currently own. And these days, if there's a uniform in the game for more than a week and I don't pick it up, chances are that uniform is pure garbage. And unfortunately, that is where all but one of these uniforms currently reside. In my opinion, they are pure garbage. They offer no real value. If you pick them up, you wasted money. If you didn't pick them up, you're saving money. If you want to waste money, go ahead and pick them up because the only thing they're gonna offer to you is some bonus stats for a different character's uniform when you are upgrading it. That is it. They offer nothing else. That goes for every uniform right here besides Cyclops. This uniform holds a lot of value if you are a new player, if you're struggling to make your way through Shadowland, you're running out of supervillains, you pick up this uniform, you can use Cyclops as a supervillain, and when you make it to the end game, you can also use him in ABX on the Blast supervillain day alongside people like Magneto and Strife. So this uniform has a lot of value. Most of you guys may be wondering why I don't have it, even though it has a lot of value, and I honestly believe that. That's because I don't really care about ABX that much, and as long as I make it to 100k, I don't really care about anything else unless I'm testing a character. That's it, because we don't get any rewards past that point. The day we start seeing rewards for 200k, 300k, a million, 2 million, then definitely I will start caring about ABX, especially if they start giving out premium cards and CTPs and all that jazz. But yeah, the only uniform in this pile right here that is worth anything is actually Cyclops. The rest, say it with me now, are pure garbage. If you disagree, please feel free to leave it in the comment section. I know some of you guys are gonna be like, oh, Wolverine. Nah, bro, chill out. Anyways, moving on, let's take a look at the uniforms that I do own because I own a lot of them. However, a lot of them were good when they first came out, and others I purchased because there's certain characters that I really love, i.e. Scarlet Witch, so I picked up some garbage uniforms to make her better because that's my baby, right? So I'm gonna go through this row by row to let you guys know which ones still hold value in 2019. So let's go. We're gonna go through this really quickly. If you want a full in-depth review for every single one of these, I can guarantee I have at least 3 videos on every single one of these that are worth mentioning. Okay, all right, let's get it. First and foremost, Anti-Venom or Agent Anti-Venom. This uniform, not a must buy for me, but if you like the character, it makes him significantly stronger offensively and defensively. Not a must buy, but if you like the character, it's definitely a significant upgrade. I don't see him getting another one for a while, so keep that in mind. Next up is Ant-Man. This uniform definitely makes the character playable. However, since he's in Endgame, chances are Netmarble gonna make another uniform for him, so you should definitely wait. If he gets nothing for Endgame, then you can come back and purchase this because this is the only way that you can play Ant-Man. Okay, if you care about it, but even then his damage is not that good. You can live without Ant-Man. If you're a super fan, go ahead and pick it up. Next up, Angel. Angel is an amazing character. Without the uniform, you don't need it. This uniform just offers more damage. That's it. Next up is Beast. And Beast, I'm going to say the same thing that I said about Cyclops. If you need more super villains, pick up this uniform because it transforms him into a super villain. And when you make it to the end game, you can start using him in ABX on these combat super villain day. Okay, it's a good uniform to have, especially since Minerva is making a big impact right now, and he is the best leadership for her. Moving into the second row, there is 2 uniforms here that once upon a time were must buys. Right now, I'm gonna kick them out of the must buy category, but I'm gonna tell you guys that if you're a big fan of T'Challa, this is the only way to play him. Unfortunately though, even with this uniform, he's not really that good. Unfortunately, right? Some of you guys may disagree, but that's fine. That is fine. This uniform is worth buying, but it's not gonna make him super OP. It's not gonna make him the best in the game at anything. Just keep that in mind. So not a must buy for me. Next uniform that we gotta kick out of the must buy category is the Blonde Widow, and that is not even because this is a bad uniform, because this is the best and only way to play her and have any kind of fun with her in Marvel Future Fight. It's just simply because she is guaranteed, like 100%, going to be getting a uniform. She's gonna get her standalone movie next year in 2020, and before that she's probably gonna get a uniform for Endgame as well, because she already has a different look. So if you don't have this uniform, don't buy it, because she's guaranteed. She's one of those characters that are guaranteed to get new uniforms. Moving into the next row, if I skip over anything, it means it's not worth mentioning. Moving into the next row, we have the DPS god himself. This is an absolute must buy. Cable's already one of the strongest characters in the game with just the base kit. This makes him look cooler, and it makes him hit even harder because of the chain hit. So yeah, you definitely want to pick this up from my guy Nate. Next up, it is actually this one right here, Captain America in his Infinity War uniform. And this one, honestly, I'm hoping it remains as a must buy just because of how good it is in PvP. I'm hoping the next uniform, what is probably going to be the last uniform for Captain America for a little while, not the last one ever, because y'all already know Captain America uniforms, they sell. People love Cap. I'm a Cap fan, so yeah. Anyways, I'm hoping this one remains as a must buy just because of how good it is for PvP. The iframe priority, the fact that he has damage immunity, the uniform is just so good for PvP. So if they make it so this next uniform that he's gonna get for Endgame is a PvE oriented uniform aimed mainly towards World Boss Ultimates, and that's what I really care about right now, that would be really good, because this uniform would then hold value for PvP, and then the new one could be for PvE. I'm hoping that is the case, but as of right now, if you don't own it, don't buy it, just in case they just make the uniform that he gets next even better, and this one just kind of like dies off like the other ones did. Okay, next up is actually my girl Shirag. This is an absolute must buy. Makes her even more of a monster, giving her chain hit damage and some really powerful new skills. This uniform right here, even though Netmarble went a step further and removed the last drop of damage immunity that was in her kit, making her even more fragile for PvE, Netmarble, what are you doing? Honestly, what are you doing? Oh my goodness, you guys are killing the character, seriously. Even with the immunity removed though, this uniform is definitely a must buy, simply because of how dangerous she is becoming for PvP. She can take down all of the Titans thanks to this iframe ignore and a whole bunch of damage that is on this skill. So yeah, I gotta recommend this one. Even though they went a step further, I'm still super upset about it. I was gonna make a video about it, still might make a video about it, but man, Netmarble, what are you doing? For real, man. Can't even have any fun with her in World Boss Ultimate now because she dies so quickly. Well, that's not true. I can still have fun with her, but still, man. Like, what are you doing? Anyways, moving on. Skip over my guy Colossus unless you're a super fan. You can skip that uniform, but you definitely want to pick up the Boogeyman of the Black Order. I cannot stress that enough. This uniform is an absolute must buy. This guy is lethal for PvP. Let no one tell you different. You can skip over Crystal, that's not a must buy. If you care about Black Dwarf or Cull Obsidian, you definitely want to pick this up. Damage is very good, survivability is very good as well. If you want to get a little bit more out of Cyclops leadership, you can pick this one up. But if you have this one for the versatility, the diversity that it offers, you don't need to buy this one because there's better leaderships than this one offers, in my opinion. Moving on, the next row we have my guy Steven. Honestly, I don't use Doctor Strange in PvP that much anymore, but that does not mean this uniform isn't one of the best uniforms in the game, and that does not mean that Doctor Strange isn't one of the most deadly PvP characters in the game because of the fact that he constantly heals and he has the reflect and the fact that he can hit you when you're in iframes if you have this uniform. Personally, I'm really hoping that either for Doctor Strange 2 or whenever Netmarble decides to give Doctor Strange something else, they give him something geared more towards PvE. That way this uniform's whole value and I can finally start enjoying playing with him in World Boss Ultimate. Next up is actually my guy Ebony Maw. This is definitely 100% a must buy if you care about World Boss Ultimate, simply because of the fact that this guy is offering you more damage to universal types, and the majority of the bosses are universal characters. Also gives you 10 seconds of mind control, but you definitely want to buy it just for the bonus that it provides to your allies. Moving into the next row, we have a couple must buys here, absolute must buys. Now honestly, this is gonna be a little bit biased, but I say this uniform for Emma is a must buy, but only if you own the character and you really love her. If you don't have her, it's not a must buy. You don't have to get her. She's not that much better than other characters like her, like for example Psylocke or Scarlet Witch. Okay, it's a must buy if you really want to enjoy playing with the character, but besides that, it's not a must buy. Okay, however, these next two absolute must buys, no debate about it. Killmonger, you definitely want to buy this uniform even if you are free to play player. You do not need to get the character because he's not really that good, unfortunately. If you saw Black Panther, he was freaking awesome. That's not the case. He's not that awesome in the game. Sad life. But you definitely want to pick this uniform up and you want to get it to Mythic using a Mythic ticket or whatever means possible, even if you don't have the character, simply because if you do that, you can get a CTP of energy from the Black Panther Legendary Battle. Okay, you definitely want to do that because there's not that many free-to-play friendly ways to guarantee yourself a CTP of energy. The next must buy on this list is actually Pimtron, and similar to Killmonger, he's not that good of a character, but you want to pick up this uniform and you want to get it to Mythic because you get yourself a CTP selector, which allows you to pick any CTP you want from the Ant-Man and the Wasp Legendary Battle. Keep that in mind, okay? Next row, there is one must buy, and that is actually this one right here. Similar to Killmonger, not that good a character. She's unplayable without the uniform, but with the uniform she's a decent character. But when you get the uniform to Mythic, you get yourself a CTP of energy. So this is definitely going to be a must buy forever in my book because the CTP of energy is amazing. I wish I had more of them. Sad life, sad life. Anyways, Hulk, no longer a must buy. It was a must buy, but he's guaranteed to get something for endgame. Hopefully it is significantly better than this. However, if you decide to pick this one up, take solace from the fact that you can actually get this to Mythic and get yourself a CTP of Refinement, but also know that the CTP of Refinement is the worst of all the CTPs currently in the game. Moving on into the next row, there isn't really any must buys here. However, there are 3 uniforms here that I actually really like, that I didn't regret purchasing, that I still use to this day. Hulkbuster, since I don't see him getting another one, this is actually a good buy and I enjoy using him in this uniform. If y'all want to see more of him, let me know. Hyperion, even though I wasn't really a fan of how it looks, you know what I'm saying, I like the uniform, I like how he plays, and I absolutely love Inferno. Still use him to this day. It gives him exactly what he needs, more survivability in the form of healing, damage, immunity, and iframe. So not necessarily must buys those 3, but they're definitely worth the crystals, and I use them to this day. Everything else in that row, nah. Okay, next up is Loki. If you are a Loki fan, you definitely want to pick up this uniform because it gives you, well, the best version of Loki, the coolest looking version of Loki. This one looks pretty cool too, but it's useless, pure garbage. Don't get me started on that again. Anyways, but besides just the offensive stats and the better kit that Loki has in this uniform, you get yourself this card right here, which when you get it rolled properly, you can get some pretty nice stats. I'm still re-rolling it, but it's a pretty solid card. It just takes some time to re-roll it. Next up is actually going to be Luna Snow. Absolute beast. You definitely want to buy this uniform, and if you have the tickets, even if you're a free-to-play player, drop all them tickets on it, get it to Mythic. I know I don't have it at Mythic, but that's because yeah, you see that, right? Anyways, we don't have the bios. Anyways, definitely get it. It's an amazing uniform. Iron Man, this was a must buy when it first came out, but it's Tony, and he's definitely getting something else for endgame. So don't buy it if you don't already have it. If you have it, don't upgrade it, because he's gonna get something, and hopefully it's much better than what he currently has, because that's not very good for anything, in my opinion. Moving into the next row, there's only, well, that's not true. There's two must buys here. There's one must buy if you are free to play, and another must buy if you have the means to get the character to tier 2. So we'll talk about it. Magneto is pretty decent for ABX at tier 3, but this uniform isn't really offering that much. He's basically the same character. The uniform is just offering more stats. That is it. So I wouldn't even consider buying that if you don't care about ABX. Medusa is pretty decent in this uniform, but you don't have to buy it. It just, you can live without it. Promise you can. The must buy, the absolute must buy, regardless of whether you're free to play or you're paying money in this game, is this one right here. Oh my goodness, Blueface baby, she killing it. She's a monster. One of the best free to play friendly characters in the game right now. You definitely want to pick up the uniform. You would not regret it. The next one is actually going to be Nick Fury. This is only if you have the means to get the character to tier 2. Otherwise, you're not going to really see that much out of the character, because this is where he gets really, really good. And the uniform actually adds to that, right? It gives him the immunity to incapacitation, and it makes his tier 2 passive slightly better. The uniform also makes his 5th skill a little bit better, but you don't really notice the uniform differences until you get into tier 2. Also, the uniform offers some defense down. So yeah, definitely worth picking up, but you don't really see the true value of the uniform until you get it carried to tier 2. Next up, boys, in the next row right here, we have one absolute must buy, and I'm pretty sure you guys all already know who that is. That is actually my guy, Barney, the hot dog eating savage, my guy, God Silver. Okay, this guy is an absolute beast. Even with the base kit, you pick up the uniform, it's more damage, it's more carnage. You definitely want to buy it because of the chain hit. He's an absolute monster. There's also two more uniforms in this row that I actually really rock with. That's actually Proxima, because this uniform gives her a bunch of iframes, make her easy to keep alive, and Punisher because he's actually playable, really playable, and you can actually enjoy playing with the character in this uniform. But these two are not must buys. Quicksilver, however, absolute must buy. Moving into the next row, there is, well, I would say 3 must buys here. Now, you guys may debate this, but there's 3 must buys here for me, and one that I really rock with. We'll start with the one that I rock with that you don't have to buy because it's not really meta. That's actually my guy, Ronan. If you're a big fan of Ronan, then this is a must buy for you personally, but it's not a must buy because it's not making him meta for anything. Now, speaking on the absolute must buys in this row, first and foremost, the most important uniform in the game. Pause the video right now if you have not bought this. I don't know what you're doing. Go buy it now and come back and tell me how much this thing changed your life. That's actually my baby, Scarlet Witch. I love you, baby. I'll keep preaching. Anyways, guys, this is the best uniform in the game. Let nobody tell you any different. She will change your life. I will fight to the death to defend that, okay? She will change your Marvel Future Fight experience. I don't have to go there because I've gone there several times before. So just take my word for it. Buy the uniform, play with it for 2 seconds, and tell me how much it changed your life. Anyways, next uniform you want to pick up from this row is actually She-Hulk, because it makes her leadership even better. It makes She-Hulk a playable character, but her leadership is basically the best PvE leadership in the game. Right, so if you care about World Boss Ultimate, if you care about ABX, then you definitely want to pick up She-Hulk because she's really good in this uniform. Next is actually Shuri. Yes, Shuri. There's 3 selling points for this uniform. Shuri's a decent standalone character, full immunity, super tanky, but if you get this uniform, it makes your tier 2 passive even better, and she is one of the best support characters in the game. And if you get the uniform to Mythic, not only are you going to have, well, one of the best support characters in the game, a solid standalone character, you're also going to get a CTP of refinement. The worst CTP in the game, but it's a free CTP for working on a character that is already very good. I would really like it if she actually gets her Black Panther uniform for endgame. That would be awesome. Anyways, Not gonna get my hopes up though, because she's still MIA and she might actually be dead. Hopefully that's not the case though. Anyways, moving on. We're gonna skip the entire row there, and then we're gonna move all the way down. Spider-Man, once upon a time, was a must-buy. If you want to get something cheap, this is pretty solid. But this one, the Iron Spider, really good uniform, but you shouldn't buy it, because for Far From Home, Spider-Man is gonna get something that is better than this, most likely. Honestly, I would really like it if they focus more on Spider-Man's offensive potential for the next uniform, making him more of a world boss killer, that kind of deal, and just kind of kept this as the crowd control machine. That would be really, really cool, and that will actually make it so that this uniform holds a little bit of value. But we'll see what they decide to do. Next uniform in this row that is an absolute must-buy right now, and I'm hoping it stays the same, is actually the Mad Titan. This is a PvP machine, makes him the PvP god, okay? Best PvP character? Kinda, sorta, maybe, I don't know. The meta is always shifting, but he's up there, Top 3 easily, right? If he's not number 1, he's number 2 or number 3, easily for basically everybody. So I want them to keep this as the PvP version of Thanos. I'm hoping that the uniform he gets for endgame focuses heavily on ABX and, most importantly, World Boss ultimately, because his damage sucks. His damage truly sucks when it comes to World Boss Ultimate. So hoping we don't get another PvP uniform for Thanos. Keep this as PvP. That will actually make this uniform still hold value, and it would justify buying a new one. Just saying. There's 2 uniforms in this row that are not must-buys, but I absolutely love them and I use them every opportunity that I get. That's actually my guy Miles. This is the only way to play the character. Decent survivability, very good damage. Same goes for my guy Peter. Very good damage, solid survivability, so you should definitely pick it up. I don't see Miles getting anything for a little while, and honestly, I can say the same for my guy Peter. Moving into the next row, we have 2 kind of sort of must-buys, right? The first is this one right here, and that's not going to surprise anyone who's been playing for more than like 3 months. Anti-Venom in this uniform is truly invaluable simply because of his forward skill. When this guy pops in as a striker, he drops those healing symbiote, he heals your characters. This is awesome. He allows some of the most useless characters in the game to actually compete at a very high level in World Boss Ultimate. If you are new to the game, this uniform is one of the most important uniforms. You should definitely buy it. It's gonna change your World Boss Ultimate experience for the better. Believe me, the uniform bonus itself is really good, but this guy as a striker is truly invaluable. I couldn't go back to playing World Boss Ultimate without him with certain characters. It just isn't possible, okay? Next uniform right here that I'm gonna tell y'all is a must-buy. Might surprise a whole lot of you guys, and that's actually this one right here, the Thor Ragnarok uniform. And the main reason is because of this beautiful comic card. I love it. It's never leaving my set. The stats are freaking awesome, and you have a guaranteed way to get it by simply getting this uniform to Mythic. This uniform was a must-buy because of the fact that it looks freaking awesome. Check out the fade. You know what I'm saying? My guy Thor looking like a boss, hits like a boss, has survivability like a boss, still at the top of the game in the universal class, but he's definitely going to be getting, actually I don't want to say it because if Netmarble lets me down, Netmarble, we need another Thor uniform, okay? At least I need another Thor uniform, okay? So this is not a must buy because I'm hoping that he's gonna get something even better for endgame. If he doesn't, then this is definitely still a must buy, okay? But let's hope. Moving into the next row, we have 2 absolute must buys. The first of which is actually the Wasp. Now, the Wasp, super low DPS for PvE, but for PvP, thanks to the fact that she can chain iframes, more importantly, her 1 and 2 skills, and she can actually guard break and stun lock enemies into oblivion, allowing her to take out some of the most deadly PvP characters. She's truly freaking awesome. On top of that, the uniform bonus giving you 10% more HP to all of your allies, hero, villains is really awesome, and her leadership gets even better. All of this in conjunction to her tier 2 passive makes Wasp one of the best PvP characters. So this uniform, absolute must buy, and it will stay that way until she gets another one. Next up is actually the White Wolf. Nobody really talks about him anymore, but this uniform is definitely still a must buy in my book. It is the only way to play Bucky, and he absolutely destroys World Boss Ultimate stages when he is played properly. Absolute monster. There's 2 other uniforms in this row that's kind of decent. The first is actually X23, makes the character significantly better. Without it, she has no damage, decent survivability. With the uniform, she's pretty solid. And actually, Logan in this uniform is pretty tanky. But honestly, I don't want to recommend this because we saw some spoilers that hinted that he could be getting an X-Force uniform. And I'm hoping and praying that that is actually the case. And he finally gets level 70 at the very least. Tier 3 would be freaking amazing. Oh yeah, speaking of amazing, I almost forgot, man. My guy Rhodes in his Infinity War uniform is an absolute monster when it comes to DPS, but I'm not going to recommend this one simply because he's still alive, so there is a chance that he will get a new uniform for endgame. And the same goes for somebody who I also skipped over up here. That's actually Rocket. Rocket in his uniform is really good offensively and defensively for PvE, but since he's still alive, there is the chance that he will be getting a uniform for endgame. So that's why I'm not going to be recommending him as a must buy. If they don't get uniforms for endgame, then they're definitely must buys in my book. Anyways, boys, we're gonna wrap it up right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. That is my list of must buy uniforms for 2019 so far. So that's it for this one, man. Agent Danger signing off. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.